Hi everyone. Today we are here to learn something very new, very interesting. Let's begin one interactive session. We are doing chapter that name is Who Did Patrick's Homework? Now these words are very common. Maybe Patrick may sound very uncommon to you, but homework is something I'm sure you must be doing since you were in grade 1 or maybe even before that. But before we begin the chapter, we'll just have a brief introduction of the author. So this chapter has been written by Carol Moore. Her full name is Anne Carol Moore. She's an American educator, writer, and an advocate for children's libraries. She's known for her pioneer children librarian, and of course, she's a book critic. Now let's talk about this chapter. So this chapter is all about a boy whose name is Patrick, because obviously we have to give a name, otherwise if we'll talk haywire that okay, this chapter is about someone, then it's not possible to understand. So this chapter revolves around a boy whose name is Patrick. Now, Patrick doesn't like to do his homework, and teachers always keep telling him that if you will not do your homework, you will not learn anything. But Patrick was someone who was not an easy boy. It was somehow difficult to make him understand the importance of homework. And then something interesting happened in Patrick's life. Now we will explore what was that interesting thing that happened and that made a change, instead a huge change in Patrick's attitude. Patrick never did homework. Too boring, he said. He played hockey, basketball and Nintendo instead. Obviously, if a child is not doing homework, what he or she will do? He or she will play games like the way you do. I am sure mama keeps scolding, do your homework, and you are busy with the gadgets nowadays. His teachers told him, Patrick, do your homework or you won't learn a thing. And it's true. Sometimes he did feel like an ignoramus, but what could he do? He hated homework. Now, it's a simple thing. You will not do something which you really hate. And this was the case with Patrick. He was not liking homework. He was not at all willing to do the homework. Even after several reminders from the teachers, he was not willing to lift up the notebooks and pencils and pens and do the homework. Now, what was the repercussion? So, if you are not doing homework, you feel as if you are ignoramus. Who is an ignoramus? It means a person who is unaware of the things that is happening around. So if the teacher is teaching something, if I'm not learning back those things coming back to home, I will not be able to answer a single question. Then one day, he found his cat playing with a little doll and he grabbed it away. Patrick was obviously a naughty boy. By now you must have understood that since he was not studying home, he was not listening to the teacher's instruction, that means he was a naughty boy. Now he was out of his habit. When he came back home, he saw that the cat was playing with a doll. So to trouble the cat, Patrick took the doll from the cat. To his surprise, it was not a doll at all, but a man of the tiniest size. Now what do you understand by a man of tiniest size? This means an elf. Elf are the people who are generally shorter than the people of a normal size. If I want you to imagine, then the kind of the paper dolls that we make, an elf is of that size. He had a little wool shirt with old-fashioned breeches. Now we are describing the kind of the clothes that the elf was wearing. Obviously, someone has to wear clothes. Now to make the imagination more clear, we are telling you that the kind of the clothes he was wearing. So he was wearing a wool shirt and old-fashioned breeches and a high tall hat much like that of a witch. Imagine how a witch's hat looked like. It's kind of pointed from the top and it's comparatively bigger. So that was the kind of the hat that elf was wearing. He yelled, "Save me! Don't give me back to that cat. I'll grant you a wish, I promise you that." Now, Elf was smarter than Patrick. You know why? Because Patrick saved him from the cat, and immediately Elf offered Patrick that if you will not give me back to the cat, I promise that I will fulfill one wish of yours. Now Patrick was super happy. Immediately his brain started working and he thought, okay, this is the man I was looking for since ages. Patrick couldn't believe how lucky he was. There was the answer to all his questions, all his problems. So he said, only if you do my homework till the end of the semester, that is 35 days. So every time we have semesters, this duration was of 35 days. So he said to Elf, you do my homework for 35 days and then I will do whatever you will want me to do. So there was a deal between two of them. What was the deal? Elf wanted to save Patrick from the cat and Patrick wanted the elf to do the homework for him. If you do a good enough job, I could get even A's. So smarter was the Patrick. What he said? You have to do a good job for me, so good that I get good scores like A, and then I'll set you free. The little man's face wrinkled because now that man thought, oh my God, I thought I'm in safer hands. But no. So out of anger, Elf's face was wrinkled like a dishcloth thrown in the hamper. So what happened? Once we clean the dishes, that dishcloth is in a bad shape and that cloth we throw in the hamper. Similarly was the face of the elf. He kicked his legs and doubled his fist and pursed his lips. Oh, I am cursed, but I'll do that. Why? Even after so much of anger, so much of discontentment, why was Elf ready to do the work? Because Elf thought that that was a better deal. And true to his word, that little elf began to do Patrick's homework. So after all the kind of discussions and discontentment and deal, now here began the real journey. Elf started doing Patrick's homework and let's see if Patrick was able to save the elf or not. The elf didn't always know what to do. Why? Because elves are not students like us. They don't go to school, they don't do their homeworks, they don't have to give assessments and summatives and formatives, but they has to have a normal life like people live. So he wasn't aware what to do, what to write, what should be the answer, how to solve the sums. Then he needed help. And every time Elf sat down to do Patrick's homework, help me, was what he kept yelling. And Patrick would have to help in whatever way. So obviously Patrick was not liking to do the work. But if he has to get the work done, he was supposed to give some kind of assistant to the elf. I don't know this word. The elf squeaked while reading Patrick's homework. Get me a dictionary. Now, what is a dictionary? A dictionary is a kind of a vocabulary book which you refer when you don't understand the meaning. Similarly, when Elf was doing homework, maybe he wasn't able to understand what the question was saying. So he asked Patrick that can you get me a dictionary so that I can understand the meaning and we can do the homework. No, what's even better? Look up the word and sound it out letter by letter. I already told you Elf was smarter than Patrick. What did he say to Patrick? He said, don't give me a dictionary, brother. You have to spell the word for me. Instead, you have to read the word letter by letter. So you are going to dictate that word to me. Now, when it came to maths, Patrick was out of luck. You see, who is a man who is out of luck? Who thinks that, okay, now things are set for me and I'm good to go, and immediately something as such happened which he or she may not like. So when it came to math, Elf was totally blank. He did not know how to do anything. What are times tables? The elf shrieked. We elves never need that Because I told you that they don't go to school, they don't have to do any kind of sums, no multiplication, no addition, no subtraction, and divisions and fractions. So many mathematical operations the elf was supposed to do. Here, sit down beside me. You simply must guide me. Now, elf said to Patrick that, see, if you want me to do your homework, you have to sit right beside me and you have to guide me step by step. Whatever you will say, that I will write. Elves know nothing of human history. To them, it's a mystery. So what have we done before? What are we going to do next? This was nothing that concerns elf. They have to write. He said that I will write whatever you will say. So the little elf, already a shouter, just got little louder. Why a shouter got louder? This line suggests that elf was already irritated. As it is, he thought that he is a savior. He here refers to Patrick. So elf said, okay, Patrick will save me. Instead, Patrick made a deal with him. Because of all those things, he was already irritated. So he was yelling for help. And now that yell got louder because now elf was really irritated with all the things Patrick was asking to him to do. Go to the library. I need books. More and more books. And you can help me read them too. Now elf said, go to the library, get books and get more and more books so that you don't have to go again and again. Sit beside me, read those books for me so that I can understand whatever you have studied, what all you are studying right now, and so that I have a clear picture that what do I need to do in each and every subject. Okay, till there where Patrick was doing whatever elf was asking him to do. As a matter of fact, every day in every way, that little elf was a nag. Patrick was working harder than ever, and was it a drag? So now this elf is a very demanding elf, I tell you. What he was doing, that elf was asking, do this for me, do that for me. And why was Patrick doing all those things? Because Patrick wanted to score A. This picture was very clear in his mind. So he was ready to do all the things that elf was asking. And elf was again a kind of a nag who kept troubling Patrick to find more books, to read the words for him, to do the sums, to tell him the steps and many more things. He was staying up nights, had never felt so weary. Now, why? Because he was working late till night. Weary means he started looking tired, because those days and those nights were really, he was working hard and hard to complete his homework. His eyes now got puffed and weary. So when you have sleepless nights, if you watch TV continuously for hours, if you just watch something, if you're not having a good sleep, then your eyes, they got puffy and you started looking weary. Finally, the last day of the school came and the elf was free to go because that was a deal for 35 days. So elf did the homework for 35 days and on the last day he was free to go. As for the homework, there was no more because that deal was only for 35 days. He did the homework for that entire semester. So he quietly and slyly slipped out of the back door. Patrick got his A's. Now when the result came, everybody was shocked and amazed. Why? Because Patrick scored A in his mark sheet. His classmates were amazed, his teachers smiled, and the parents were full of praises. What do you mean by full of praises? If you will do something good, whoever will come will say to your parents, wow, your child has done wonderful. Wow, he or she has done good, amazing, stupendous. And that's how we say that that person was full of praises, because whoever was coming, whoever was aware that these are Patrick's parents, they were giving them good words. They were exchanging good words with them. And his parents, they wondered what has happened to Patrick. He was now the model kid. He has changed his attitude. Now Patrick was all a new Patrick. What has changed in his? He not only scored A grade, But now he started cleaning his room, he did his chores, he was cheerful and not at all rude as he was supposed to be, as he was earlier. Earlier he used to talk little loudly to the parents, he was really rude. But now his attitude changed entirely, he developed a whole new attitude, and that's how a transformed Patrick came. You see, in the end, Patrick still thought that he made that tiny man do all his homework. What do you think? Do you also believe that that was the elf who made Patrick do the work, or it was the Patrick who did his homework thinking that there is some elf? Tricky question instead, no? Keep tickling your brains and try to think that who was that person. Was Patrick who did the homework, or it was elf who did the homework? By that time, keep thinking, keep learning, keep growing. See you all next time. Bye.